Part 2, the path to connection. I reach out, but people can't come over. They are too busy. I finally stop asking. Building relationships takes a lot of time and energy that I don't have much left of. I moved away from my people for a better job, and I miss them so much. Working full-time and being in a new city and at a large church, it is hard to cultivate deep friendship. I try to stay in touch with my friends, but honestly, they're too caught up in their own lives to take much of an interest in mine. Between working 40-plus hours, taking care of a house, commuting, family, husband, there's just not much time left. In that little time I do carve out for a friend, it is really hard to take that friendship past superficial conversations into deep conversations. Well, although some of those statements are probably true, I have lived on a ship with friends. I moved away, still maintain very good conversations up until they stopped talking to me. And, yeah, I reach out to people. So I don't feel that way. I feel like if you want something, you go after it and you do it. If you want a friendship, you maintain it. If you don't, if it doesn't matter that much, you leave it alone. You let it die. But I'm listening. 5. Close. Fire. Glow, go, proximity, barrier, busyness. When the doorbell rings at 7:30 p.m., I already eaten dinner, changed into my long, comfy robe, and begun to unwind from a stressful day. Who could possibly be ringing our doorbell right now? I open the front door to find Lindsay, Kirk, and their 3 kids. The whole lot looking like they just stepped out of the pages of a magazine. Perfectly coordinated. Every hair on every head in place, smile as wide as Texas. We just had our family pictures taken, Lindsay explained. I should have texted you, but we are driving by and I've been wanting Kirk to see your patio furniture because we're waiting to get something similar. And while can we just take a peek and then let you get back to your plans? I didn't have plans. At the time, they were still newish friends, and I was very aware I was in my robe. Glancing down at my attire, I had to laugh. Come in, I heard myself. The whole pack of us swept through the cluttered kitchen and living room and went outside to the patio. Zach and I insisted that they sit down and stay. They insisted that they didn't want to bother us, that really they should go. Zach started a fire in the fire pit, and we all sat down to gather, and they stayed. They interrupted our nothing night, and their kids crawled all over us while we talked, and I never changed out of my robe. All of it was more heaven than my new to Dallas heart could contain. After 2 hours into the fireside conversation, we realized we needed snacks. Lindsay and I went into the kitchen to grab whatever junk we could find, then returned to the fire, to our family, to the conversation at hand. I look back on that night now and realize that the unplanned nature of the whole thing took our relationship to a new level, a deeper level, a level that said, yeah, I know we didn't yet know each other well, but I'm going to be that kind of friend in your life. The kind of friend who drops by unannounced. The kind of friend kids crawl all over without being told to stop. The kind of friend who looks past your bathrobe and messy house. The magic of a fire. Since the Stone Age, we humans have been building fires, and while there are plenty of practical reasons for this, we want cookies, cooked food. We need to forge metal. We were hoping to starve off a bitterly cold winter, and one of the primary benefits of those fires have been the simply abundance they afford. Fire pits' flames seem to mesmerize us, and we kind of get close in their torrents. Given that we spend most of our day strategizing, planning, working, and following through, there is a natural pull to sit down, to relax, to calm the mind, to chat. A fire gives us a place to do all those things. Gathering around an evening fire is important. Opportunity for calm, information, exchange, wrote Christopher Lynn, Associate Professor of Anthropology at the University of Alabama. During the day's biological rhythm produced by elevated cortisol and other stress hormones keep humans awake and provide the pre-coffee bump needed to be motivated and get things done. But as cortisol levels drop in the evening, we're able to sit and relax. We're in the mood to tell and listen to stories. I remember reading of an anthropologist who spent nearly 200 days living with the native people of Botswana in Nabiabi. She discovered that while about 3/4 of the tribe daytime conversation centered on work-related talks, more than 3/4 of their nighttime conversation always held around a fire, incidentally centered on spirituality, or what the researchers called enthralling story. The tribe people talked about adventures they had, and about elephants they encountered, and about politics, religion, and the dreams they have for their lives. Throughout history, villages have gathered around fires to cook, to plan, to dance, to sing, to be together after the kids are in bed. Yet, fire has been the communal spot since the beginning of time. According to research published in Proceeding of National Academy of Science, ending the day around a campfire where songs, stories, and relationship blossom ultimately shape culture and perhaps even help develop some of our abilities to understand one another, cooperate, and internalize culture. Fires bring us together. Real life, face-to-face, no phones, together. 5 friends, 5 miles. It is not really an exaggeration to say that for the first month that we live in Dallas, we were not invited anywhere. You know how when you've been living in the same place for a while, your biggest concern, assuming there's not a global pandemic, is knowing what to say yes to and what to say no to. Life feels so busy that at times you're sure that if your kids have one more thing they are required to attend, your whole university might spin right off its axis. Let me read that again. Life feels so busy that at times you're sure that if your kids have one more thing they are required to attend, your whole universe might spin right off the axis. So take that reality and turn it 80 degrees, and you'll know that Dallas was like that for us for the first year. We called it home. Zach and I rarely did anything. Our kids never did anything. Excitement was movie night at home. One afternoon on my way home from the grocery store, where I seen nobody I knew and had exactly zero conversations with another human being. I drove past a senior living apartment, sustained half a mile from our house, and before I could stop them, tears sprang into my eyes. I'll have no friends to live there with someday because I have no friends. I'll have no friends to live there with someday because I have no friends. Drama, I know. I toyed for a half a second with the idea of becoming a modern hermit, right there in the densely populated community of North Dallas. Who needs friends anyway? Think of all the time I have. How much cleaner life would be. Things would be far simpler. No disappointment, no relationship pain. I could have done it, honestly, maybe, except for one detail I just couldn't shake. We were not created to live alone. I'm gonna read that again. I toyed for half an hour with the idea of becoming a modern-day hermit, right there in a densely populated community of North Dallas. Who needed friends anyway? Think of all the time I had. How much cleaner life would be. Things would be far more simpler. No disappointment, no relationship pain. I could have done it, honestly. Maybe. Except for one detail I just couldn't shake. We were not created to live alone. I thought about those Rwandan women who had a whole village worth of camaraderie, dozens and dozens of lifelong relationships at their disposal, and there in the seat of the rundown van, I thought, if I could just have a fraction of that connectedness, I'll be happy. 5 friends, 5 miles. I would totally settle for that. 5 friends and 5 miles. This became my Dallas friendship plan. I set about looking for friends who live within walking distance. I might not be able to rack up score of relationship wins in Dallas, but surely I could at least find 5 friends who live close by. I can make this work. 5 friends within 5 miles. Ready, set, go. Well, I hope she's not going to tell me to find friends within 5 miles of where I'm at, because that I probably refuse to do. Maybe 5 friends 20 miles away? Far? Because I like to drive. I don't want to be just 5 miles. I don't want to walk to you. I want to drive to you. Yeah, I'm that friend. I like driving, I like traveling, I like seeing another scenery, and I sure in hell like to get out the city that I'm in. So yeah. Your people are probably closer than you think. Now, before you put a for sale sign in your yard, let's look for the friends who might be right under your nose. The most common explanation I heard from people about why they don't have friends is that they are too busy. But what if instead of scheduling occasional lunch dates or starting some new monthly club, you look around at what you already are doing and who you already are with? My sister-in-law Ashley recently went out on a 4-day silent retreat, and while I suspected she was going to hate the experience, in the act of impressive self-restraint, I held my tongue until she returned. Well, what did you think? I asked as we settled in on my back porch to analyze it all. It was silent, Ashley said, and also pure torture. I knew it, I knew that's how you'll feel. We are both extroverts, and while I've been on plenty of silent treatment, alone, to write, to pray, trying to survive in silence, with real live human beings around would be agonizing at its best. I can do that alone. Things no problem. It's just that when I'm supposed to behave as if I'm alone when there are perfectly lovely people around, I just can't relax. We are meant to short circuit when we are surrounded by people we aren't engaging with. It's supposed to make us feel torture inside when we act alone in the context of perfectly good people we could be hanging out with and loving. Well, we should come away absolutely hating any experience that by design distance us from other human beings instead of helping us to draw near each other. And yet far too many of us have adopted this as a lifestyle. We go through life barely noticing the people God has put right in our path, insisting that we're all alone in the world, that nobody cares, and that we're doing just fine on our own. The truth is this: we are meant to be emotionally close to the people we are physically close to. Be close to those we're close to, and that's my goal for us. And it admittedly a stretch goal, because most of us choose to hold on to friends from past residence and past life, believing that since nobody who was right here in front of us will ever measure up to those precious people, why bother making new friends? Or we say we are too busy to build a new relationship, when we are actually around people that could be more than acquaintance, and if we invite them into our lives. Or we center every moment of every day on our nuclear family member, so that we never even allow ourselves to dream about having caring, intimate, non-family friends. Or we believe that we need to have absolutely everything in common with people and be in the same life stages before we even consider they could become close friends. I'm just checking that one, because that's definitely a thought of mine. And the other thought is the one about they couldn't be as good as the old friends. That's another thought of mine. Let's read the last one. Or we move constantly, we never settle down, and we are always looking for the next adventure, next roommate, next church, next job. We don't truly commit to a place and a handful of people. If you're trying to make friendship in Adam to your busy schedule, it would never work. If you're trying to make friendship in Adam, I gotta look that word up. You have to build it as you're going. Relationships should arise out of everyday places and your everyday activities. Proximity is a straight starting place for intimacy. Yes, I have a deep sister friend spread all around the country, but those relationships will always take more effort. It has to run a casserole over when the world falls apart for one of them. Many of my long distance friends are forever friends to me, and I have a handful that I will never let go as long as I live. But we all need a network of regular people who are present in our daily lives. Hebrews commands us to constantly make time together, and let us consider how to stir up one another to love and good work, not neglect to meet together, as is the habit of some, but encouraging one another, and all the more as you see the day drawing near. The writer is speaking here of the church, which we will discuss in greater details later. But when this exhortation was written, church was defined as a group of people, not a building for a once-a-week gathering. The church was a local group of independent people who loved God and each other. They did everything together. They ate together, prayed together, encouraged each other, and so that they could take care of each other. I'm gonna read that again. The church was a local group of independent people who loved God and each other. They did everything together. They ate together, prayed together, encouraged each other, and so that they could take care of each other. To build a lifestyle in which we are constantly, To build a lifestyle in which we are constantly present for one another like this, we need to do 3 things. Step 1, notice who is already right in front of you. Consider the people who you see regularly at your school or your church or your job or your neighborhood or a kid's sport, team, or a book club. Could it be that there are close friendships waiting for you there? I'm going to answer this one. So that question for me, consider the people who you see regularly at your school or your church or your job or your neighborhood or in kids' sport, team, or a book club. Could it be that there are close friendships waiting there? And that's going to be a no answer for me for the work part, because my goal is to have a work life where I have work-related persons that I talk to, I feel comfortable with, and we get the job done. Once I transition out of homelessness, I want to separate that life. So when I think about friendships, our community, I think about people outside of work, work and school. When I think about my spirituality, I want that to be where I go specifically for those communal relationships with people who believe in the same spirituality as me. But my friends, I want them to stem out of social activities. So like when I go work out, I want to make a friend out of there. I'm working on a relationship, at least starting a conversation that is daily. Maybe if I get into art, I want to create a friendship out of art. And if my kids get into an activity and I'm able to see them again and be around them and participate, then I want to make a family relationship, friendship out of that. But when it comes to work and school, because those are things that I really focus in on, I don't want to create too many friendships from work, because then I'm going to be thinking about work, or I'm going to be thinking about school. And those are activities that take away from me. They don't engage me other than, mentally. I want to do something that engages me on all my levels, and not just my responsibility to life, if that makes sense. Right now, get a blank piece of paper and draw scatter circles for each of the creative venues you frequent or over the course of a given week. Label each circle with the location or activity. Next to each circle with the name of people you interact with in each place. Now think about each of those people in terms of potential friendship. Who do you enjoy being around? Who do you share some things in common with? Who seems genuinely interested in you? Go back over your list of acquaintances and highlight 10 names of people you could see. Dang, she gave us a jump. 10 people? I don't know about that. You can see yourself investing in on a deeper level. Pray over those 10 highlighted names and ask God to help you decide on the 3 to 5 people to pursue deep relationship with. Who are those people? Circle each name with a red pen. Your map might look something like the example on the facing page. The truth of my relationship situations when I moved to Dallas was that I knew some friends. The problem was that while those people all lived in Dallas, few of them lived within a half-an-hour drive of our new home. As in the case with Austin and 100 other metropolis throughout our country. Dallas is an urban sprawl made up of countless bedroom communities, subdivisions, neighborhood, and parts of town, each connected to the next by tangling spaghetti mounds of interstate and freeway. To drive from one side of the city to the other takes planning, strategy, and time. Had I settled for simply reconnecting with all the people I had already knew, I would have been replicating the terrible reality I had fallen into in Austin, namely living so far away from people that they never felt like my people at all. If a friend or I was having a meltdown on an average Tuesday night, we needed to be able to get to each other fast. Just highlighting that part, because I highlighted that part Tuesday night, if we needed to be able to get to each other fast, because of mental health. And when you need somebody to talk to or run to, You want them to be close by, which is something I have struggled with a lot of my lifetime, and the reason why I'm my own confidant and my own shoulder to lean on, and the one person that I be hugging, and the person that wipes my tears, because I'm the only one that's always there. And by the time people get done with their busy life, I probably already cried. I probably already wiped my own tears, and now I don't want to revisit those emotions. So moving forward, I know that I want to be able to have somebody close by. But I also think, because I've been in situations that when I do have this close confidant, that they might not be in my community where I live, but in the atmosphere of where I work or go to school. Because it's easier to talk to those people because you are already in a stressful atmosphere, which is trying to get through school and pass, or working and making things. So that's where I'm at. Let's keep reading. I realized I had to quit viewing everyone in my new neighborhood and at my kids' school, church, or Connor's football game as nameless strangers. I needed to start viewing them as friends in the making. So the step one for both you and me, start seeing the people right in front of us as friends, or potential friends at least. The next part is where things get a little awkward. Step 2, put yourself out there. It's rare that someone will take the initiative in friendship, so quit waiting for that to happen. Everybody is busy, and few people are prioritizing deep connection. In other words, plan to go first. Connection takes stepping out and being intentional again and again. If you're thinking I've done that for so long and nobody is reciprocating, let me gently encourage you to be sad for exactly 1 minute, then to get over it and own that role. We already own it. Yeah. We'll go into it later. Let me finish reading. You will never have friends unless you are willing to consistently initiate. Be the one who reaches out, initiate again. You can't expect to have friends unless you get good at this. Even though it's frustrating, even though it's awkward, it will almost always be awkward. It was awkward when I reached out to the camp counselor after 2.5 decades and not to thank her for being... It was awkward when I reached out to that camp counselor after 2.5 decades, not to thank her for being a positive influence during my teen years, but to ask her to be friends. I imagine her sitting there at the coffee shop across from me thinking, how desperate must this poor woman be to have to dig all the way down to her teenage friendship to find a friend. I didn't care. I was desperate. It was awkward when I spilled my neediness to poor Caroline Parker, the college student who thought she was coming to my house to be interviewed for a babysitting position, not to be my therapist. It was awkward when we showed up at our new small group and shared the real story of our lives with complete strangers. But each time over the past 3 years that I have chosen to drop that facade of I'm great, thanks, and initiate conversations about how I really doing and what the other person really needs, God has handed me the most life-giving exchange imaginable. In the wake of initiating, inviting the person to coffee, being willing to spill my guts, and asking the hard question, real friendship begins to form. We go first. We keep initiating. We see enough of Jesus' life in the gospel to know that he was an incredible initiator. He noticed people. He stopped for a conversation. He even invited himself over to Zazushi's house for dinner. I have been blessed to be able to do some homework in Israel, and the thing that surprised me the most is that tight radius within which most of Jesus' ministry took place. Israel is a small country, roughly the size of New Jersey. Only 5 miles separate Bethlehem from Jerusalem. Communities were located intentionally so that people could return easily to the temple. We could sit on a boat in the Sea of Galilee and see the variety of places where Jesus spent most of his life. Most of the disciples lived just a few miles from each other, and most of them traveled were day to day on foot. Jesus lived small and simply doing life with those intermediately around him, but those few people live with effect. Those people's lives would affect the whole world. He prioritized proximity. His family, intimate meals, and fireside chat. They were revolutionary in biblical times. It's just how people live. And it matters. People in small towns live life together. Was initial to the way the church would grow and spread. The entire church was birthed from a few uneducated fishermen and their friends, and it reached to the end of the earth. And yes, someone had to take the gospel to the world. Paul and those apostles would travel and spread the good news. But all along the way, they settled into community context, staying with family, being invested in, and supported by local churches. Community should, in its truest form, reflect aspects of who God is and how he loves. Which brings me to a question. Who has God put in your life, here and now, right under your nose, that you have really connected with? Remember, the enemy wants to shut you down, make you afraid to initiate the causes cause you to not prioritize the people right in front of you. He wants us to live surrounded by people, but never deeply connected to them. So we don't change, we don't grow, we don't even fully live. And we mostly end up stuck self-pitying about how we don't have any friends, when dozens of people in front of us certainly would welcome someone reaching out to them at the very least. In case you need help seeing the people in your life from this perspective, the following list will get you started. Granted, it is exhaustive, but hopefully it will put words to what you need in the little team you are gathering around, and help you notice the people who may already be filling key roles. The individual may be of varying ages and cross your path in various ways, but the point is to look for people with certain qualities to play different roles in your life, not just seek out 2 or 3 people who are exactly like you and expect them to meet all your rational needs. A village of people meeting different needs and loving you in different ways provide a fuller, richer life. And these people probably exist somewhere around you already. Maybe family members or neighbors or people at your church or work. You just have to spot what gifts they bring to your life and also own the role you play for others. What do you bring to your friendship? Here are a few types of people to look for in your life. The sage. This is the friend who listens, who prays and advises. They love for you to bring them a problem. They carry godly wisdom earned through studying and our life experience. They are safe and trustworthy. The Apostle Paul was a sage friend for Timothy. The encourager. This is the cheerleader, the friend who believes in you. They see the good in you and call it out. It's easy for them to speak hope when you are discouraged. They see the best in life and people. The person oozes belief and support. The foxhole friend. This is just a good companion. The friend gets their hand dirty with you. If you have an idea, they're all in. They will fight for you and fight beside you. I have a friend, Jenny Jet Barter, who calls herself a dream defender and has helped along almost every dream I ever built. Your foxholder friend may not use words to express what you mean to her, but she'll be right beside you and share in whatever trouble you get into. The challenger. This is a friend who isn't afraid to tell you the truth. They won't let you settle, and they will kick you in the booty if you get off track. They might not be your easiest friend, and you might have to work through conflict here and there, but they make you better every time. The fun one. This is the friend that brings the party. They might not have a 2-hour debate with you about theological issues, but they will make sure you laugh often. They are spontaneous, pull people together, and say something inappropriate that interrupts whatever bad mood you find yourself stuck in. The planner is the organized and thoughtful friend who makes sure you get together and make sure the bills get split up correctly during the girls' night out. She starts the meal train, email, and remembers your birthday. My mom is a fantastic planner. She hosts the showers and drop by with meals when you get sick. Last month, another friend and I were on mom's back porch catching up. In a matter of 2 hours, she had brought us something to drink, then a full Tartarus board followed by blankets because it was getting chilly. When I was younger and her attention to details were directed towards my life, I was bugged, but now being around my mom feels like visiting a classy hotel. We both feel love and I loved it. My mom sometimes gushes about how proud she is of me, but in the main way my mom showers her love is by inviting my friends and me into her back porch life. I'm certainly not suggesting that you rush out and start interviewing acquaintances to play these specific roles. I wasn't. What I was saying is that within your sphere of influence, someone is likely already playing one or more of those roles, even if you haven't yet thought of them as a friend. No one can be everything, but everyone has something to say. Sometimes something to teach you and something to bring into your life. Look for it. Don't you have someone in your life who is habitually encouraging? Thank that person. What about someone who is incredibly wise? Ask for more input. Do you know someone who is impossible, fierce, who seem afraid of life? Sort of a way to dive into some purposeful project together? Make a memory doing something that counts. Thank your planner friends for initiating gatherings that are meaningful and sweet. Bless that friend who always picks up your call. Express appreciation to the one who still sends you birthday cards in the email. Tell the challenger friend that you are grateful for the divergent point of view, even if it means disrupting the current easy rhythm of a casual friendship. Go ahead and take the initiative to start going deeper with these people who already are present in your life. You may as well get comfortable with awkward, because we're about to take it a step further. Step 3, get great conversation. If you aren't sure how to get past shallow conversations, please know that you're not alone. Sometimes I will leave a girl's night thinking that I had a great time, but for some reason I'll go home and have this kind of sick feeling that I can't quite place. More often than not, the feeling stems from what our conversations were about. Often those conversations are too shallow. Talking about work projects or kids is fine, but I won't leave feeling truly knowing you. To have a deeper conversation, we have to learn that the art of asking more intentional questions. I'll give you more on this in the next chapter, but here are 2 to try out. What are you looking for? What is making you anxious? And when someone shares with you what they are longing for and what's making them anxious, sit with those feelings. Don't try to fix anything. Practice words like, I'm sorry, or what do you need from me right now? Questions like that bring fresh depth to your conversation. Maybe kids or work still come up, but you will be getting closer to how that makes the person feel rather than settling for a new report from her life. I honestly think that most people just don't know how to ask good questions and how to genuinely share their heart. That's why conversation often drifts towards complaining and gossip. We all know how to do those things. You'll recall that during those first few hours in Dallas, I was sitting on the floor of my empty new house having an outright panic attack. Now let's contrast that scene with another, more recent one involving several people who have stumbled their way into my life since that Hollow House moment 4 years ago. Ashley, my sister-in-law, turned safest friend, who now lives 2 blocks away. My dear friend Linda, whom I met through Ashley and then realized I've gone to Sunday school with during our elementary school years in Little Rock, Arkansas. Callie, who I met through a girl I discipline girl I dispelled in college, and Jenny E., a new friend I met because of our sons and our friends at school. The group of us had been doing a Bible study on prayer together. One week Ashley suggested it would be cool for us to sit in my backyard around my fire pit and actually pray. Novelle idea, right? I invited my friend Davy to join us. I first met Davy through her studying music. Before we lived close to each other enough to hang out. I heard some of her songs and knew that she led worship for a church in Mississippi. So I asked if she could come along on one of those tours. I did for If Gathering. I love to come. 4 simple words. That's all it took for us to become more like sisters than friends. And before we got off the phone, she told me I might be living in Dallas by then. I live in Dallas. I said I have no idea she was coming to take a job at our church. And now here she was, close enough to be a part of the community of friends. When I invited Davy to our fireside prayer gathering, she said, "Oh, can I bring my keyboard?" So the 6 of us sat by that fire and we prayed. We confessed sin. We sung, we cried, we laughed. As I scanned the faces, I belonged to people sitting around the fire with me. I was left undone by that unexpected relationship rich night. I wanted to stand on my chair and shout, "Look, world, I have friends." It felt so ridiculous to even type those words, but that's exactly how I felt. With a crackling fire, Davy singing in our air, prayerful, hopeful words being spoken, and a blanket of stars overhead. I rested into the connection I've been craving, that feeling that I'm not all alone in the world. 4 years of building, investing, and choosing connection over isolation, and I have my people. Your turn. Curate a gathering place. How do you get back to living authentic, connected community the way generations of people have lived and the way Jesus called us to live? Researchers say that to grow an acquaintance to a good friend takes clocking 200 hours together. So here is the first challenge of our big experience: to build meaningful community. Build an environment to have great conversation. During COVID-19 quarantine of 2020, Jack and I took walks around the neighborhood. One of my favorite sights was a front yard stuffed with 6 cheap plastic tourniquets. Aerotic chairs, all placed in a ring. On one of those chairs was always perched a bottle of mosquito spray, as if to say pandemic quarantine, not even stinking mosquitoes are going to keep us from getting together. That way I want you to start by getting a fire pit. A basic one is not as expensive as you might think. If a fire is not possible where you live, then build your gathering spot, your place where people can congregate. Get a patio or a picnic table, or stick a couple of comfy outdoor chairs somewhere facing each other. However it works best for your particular home, create a gathering spot and stock it with whatever you need. We personally keep on hand dozens of supplies for s'mores at all times. And then you invite. You spontaneously, but also deliberately and regularly start inviting people in your everyday world. People will say no, and you keep inviting anyway. And then you ask real questions, the kind that makes everyone just uncomfortable enough that you might actually get to know them. You go first and volunteer your answers to get things rolling. Then all of you sit together and you laugh, you clock some of those 100 hours you need to grow those relationships into whatever considered real friendship. Remember, you aren't the only one craving community. Everyone is craving it. So be the one who makes it happen. Ideas for building relationship with proximity. Buy a fire pit and invite our friends over who live close to your house. Invite a friend to run errands with. Invite someone at work to walk to the vending machine with you. Who do you see when you are walking your dog? Talk to them and walk together. Note their names and their dog's name down in your phone so you don't forget. Introduce yourself to strangers in a coffee shop. Go up to the people sitting by themselves at church and invite them to lunch. If you are new to a city, ask the person next to you at church something like, "Where is the best place to get Thai in Dallas?" And then invite them to join you there for a meal. Take the newest person in your office out to lunch. Ask another family to join yours for celebrating ice cream after your kid's sporting event. Frequent a restaurant and learn your waiter's name and ask how you can pray for him. Look for everyday things to do with people. Ask your friends if you can help our fold laundry. If you're a young mom, go grocery shopping with other young moms. Yes, with all your kids in tow. But what about my long-distance friends? Are you saying I can't be friends with them? No, some of my dearest friends live nowhere near me. But the fact remains that I need somebody to bring me a casserole when I'm about floundering in crisis or stress. And that I need someone who can look me in the eyeballs and call me out on what I'm not saying. I need someone who pops up spontaneously, makes me get dressed, pull me out to have some fun when I get depressed. And my people need me to do the same for them. So while I will never lose my long-distance friends, I can't function well without friends who live close by. Neither can you. The reality that I moved a lot forward. The power of plans and patterns for living is that they set you up to live well, wherever you are. As someone who just started over, I can tell you that this plan has worked for me. So even if you have to execute this plan at lightning speed because you won't be in your current living location long, do it. No point in living lonely even for a year. When I tried to go deeper into conversation and the vulnerability is not reciprocated. I get it, some people don't have this capacity. Move on, keep trying, don't quit, don't get discouraged, don't make it a big deal than it is. Don't get into fear. Just go to the next person. If that doesn't work work out, go to the next person. Remember to look for your people in unexpected places. Life stages doesn't matter. Age don't matter. Find the people who are following after Jesus and then go with them. I have a hard time trusting. I'm afraid I might need more than I can give. I'm unable to let go of old friendship that hurt me. I've been rejected so much in the past. I feel like a burden, so I just don't go deep. I feel like I have to pretend that I'm okay or be judged. Until next time, chapter 6. What I will say is that I'm definitely going to try her plan. Now, I gotta switch it up a little bit because my situation's a little different. And the one thing that I told myself for mental health is I won't, mental health and things that I've seen around the world. I don't want to know somebody based on my needs. So I really don't want to be at your house until I get a place to stay. I don't want to burden you with my needs and my necessities. So I like the fact that she said, like, meet somebody at a Starbucks, talk to the random person, invite somebody out to lunch, which is things that I could do because I also have tried a lot of good little restaurants. So I could be like, hey, have you ate here? Great, let's go try it. Which are things that I have not done. I have never initiated, and I'm a little ashamed to say that actually, like to invite somebody to lunch or to offer somebody lunch, or meet somebody for lunch. I always accept it, or if it was like a genuine conversation, like, oh, what do you guys want to do? Want to go out to eat? Yeah, sure, let's all go do it. And I have often offered to pay for food, but I have never did the simple act of asking. So that's what another part I loved about this chapter 5, because, yes, I almost forgot what chapter I read. Because I get to initiate. I'm already an initiator. I already could say hi randomly. I could crack a joke randomly with you. I could do those things. So to take it a little bit further and to ask or to say, what are you anxious about? What are you looking for? Are 2 questions that I really, really, really enjoy. So I'm definitely going to do my homework. I'm not speed diving into it. So I hope that you know that because I'm going to pray on it. I am working on one friendship, and I actually got to know a little bit more about her by asking a simple question, which was, what type of things do you do outside of working out? I didn't get like a whole lot of differentness, but I got to learn something, and I got to worldly explore their surroundings. So it made me get to know what type of peaceful person that they are, and the fact that they're really, really into God. So that gave me a really good feeling to receive that. The one thing that I have to do now is continue to work out, continue to go to this class, because lately I have not been I just have not been wanting to ride a bike indoor. Ever since I got my outdoor bike, I love to be outdoors, but I really do need to get back into spin. And I kind of been depressed, so that's another reason why I can't tremendously focus on just being present. But again, like she said, you get 1 minute to soak and you move forward and keep going. And I like that about Jenny Allen and what she wrote. So I appreciate chapter 5. We'll definitely do the homework. We'll definitely write that little map that she told us about on, let me pull it up so we can all see it. About the friendships and where they are and which ones, 5 of them that we really want to get close to. So I'm definitely going to do that worksheet. When we get to chapter 6, that'll be the first thing that I show you. And until next time, don't forget to like and subscribe. Read with us for chapter 6. I said us. I don't know why I always say us, but I guess God had got the Spirit, got the Father, got the Holy Ghost, and I got me, myself, and I. So just until next time, love, cleanification, always be clean, keep it safe. Peace.